Welcome to the Sacred 8 Roadshow, where cosmic love meets conscious living.
We're Juji and Nikki, partners in life and purpose, and we're so glad you're here.
This podcast is a space for truth tellers, heart healers, and those walking the path of deep love and self-remembrance.
We'll explore human design, emotional wisdom, and the real work of conscious relationship.
And we're proudly sponsored by Hello Zia, your 24/7 AI relationship coach for healing, growth, and sacred love.
Let's dive in.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Sacred 8 Roadshow. We're going to attempt to make this another mini episode. We'll see how it goes. My name is Juji. I am a human design reader, coach, speaker, and now I get to be a podcast host.
And my name is Nikki, and I teach people how to break their patterns so they can dream new possibilities and manifest all the magic in their life.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
So today we had put down that we were going to do an episode about parenting and human design. There's been a lot of those conversations floating around our orbit. But before we do that, I want to give even more context to why human design is here. I know we did an episode about the age of the sleeping phoenix. If you haven't listened or watched that yet, please do so, which actually brings me to a request. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel so you get notified every time we release a new episode. If you are on one of the podcast streaming apps, please follow the show and please write us a review. It would mean so much to us, and it helps get the word out about our show. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming. So in our mini episode about the age of the sleeping phoenix, we talked about how we are going from a tribal theme as the global background frequency into an individual background frequency in 2027.
And what does that mean?
What it means is that up until now, what we've all been collectively experiencing on this planet is just a general frequency around family, community, tradition, and it's been the glue that holds us together, which we now see is sort of falling apart. And we're going to talk a little bit more today about why that is. But the individual theme that we're moving into is much more about sovereignty and uniqueness and honoring each individual person on this planet for who they are, not trying to get them to go along with the crowd and the system, etc.
So does that mean that family holidays will be less stressful or more stressful?
They might go away altogether.
Oh, but I like getting together and eating all that yummy food for Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving.
But not everybody does.
Well, they don't have to come.
Exactly. That's totally the point.
More for me.
Okay, so what we're really talking about today is the fact that there was an upgrade in consciousness that was also revealed to us through the human design system. In 1781, we went from being 7-centered beings, which were very strategic and logical, and we mutated and became 9-centered beings, which is why you see 9 energy centers on a human design body graph or chart. So the Hindu Brahmin chakra system reveals those 7 chakras, and the human design system reveals the 9 energy centers.
And what we've found out about the chakras, though, is there are more than 7.
Of course.
They go below and above. Our soul is bigger than our body. So it's not just the 7 chakras that we know of. There's I don't even know what they're called anymore, but I've been told about them.
The star chakra.
There's a star, there's a cosmic, there's several, and then there's also ones below us.
Mm-hmm. So what we now understand about this cosmic upgrade is that we became a lot more aware, a lot more emotionally in tune, and the 7-centered systems that were set up previous to 1781 are now kind of like this square peg in a round hole, we're the square pegs and the old system is the round hole, and we're still trying to kind of mash ourselves into those old systems that are a very one size fits all agenda. The school system, the political system, all of these different things assume that we are all the same. And human design reveals just how unique and nuanced we all are. Now, if you think that isn't true, then what you're really looking at is the conditioned and homogenized reactions and personality traits that most people display because they're emulating other people. They're trying to be like somebody else. And what the future is all about is that we are all individuals, and I'm not trying to do it like anyone else. Comparison is dead, all of those different things. Now, we're going to bring this back to parenting, because if we're saying that the old tribal way is falling away and that we mutated in 1781, so none of those things really apply anymore, then with each generation removed from our ancestors, our predecessors, we can see that we have become more and more self-aware, more and more in tune with our own psyches, and we've developed lots and lots of ways to deal with being human.
I'm just thinking about how many generations there have been since, you said 1781? And all of the upgrades we've went through since that time period too. How does that coincide with the cross of planning?
So the cross of planning was about halfway done, right? When we mutated. And so again, these old systems that we put into place, the money system, the workforce, that should have mutated as well, but it didn't. So now we're each trying to figure out how we fit into this world that we created. And let's be honest, the majority of us are generator aura types, so we're the ones that set it up. So that doesn't apply to 30% of the population. Right there, you can see that that's a huge mismatch. And the thing about being a generator is that you're still not here to work blindly for somebody else without being asked. Nobody's designed to be told what to do. Children are constantly having these overlords.
Well, if you think about the system we have now in the workforce, or even school systems, which are designed to help you transition into the workforce seamlessly, it's not designed for you to constantly, as a generator, you got a lot of energy, but it's not designed for you to expend that energy on something you don't enjoy. In the school system and the work system, there's never a point where you're constantly doing something you absolutely love to do in that 9-to-5 environment.
Exactly.
That doesn't exist.
And I truly believe that what's come of those old systems is, yes, we had a commerce system that traded time for money, which a lot of people are seeing is a broken system in and of itself, but it also created a lot of consumerism because we needed a lot of things in this system to sort of counterbalance the fact that we were experiencing a lot of frustration as generators. Manifestors were experiencing a lot of anger, projectors bitterness, and the reflectors are just, looking at us in horror and shaking their heads.
Hiding out in a cave so they don't have to feel it.
Exactly. But the other thing I really feel is a part of the bigger picture is that therapy or psychology, modern psychology as we know it, think about it this way. Before 1781, the human beings that were on this planet did not need to have a way to identify feelings.
Wild.
Philosophy wasn't about feelings. It was about the universe and all of these bigger concepts. Psychology is the first system, man-made, white man-made system that gave language to this emotional experience that we were now having. And in the beginning, it was pretty rudimentary. It was like, you're insane or you're sane.
You're hysteria or you're a good wife.
Exactly. So we have now created what we call a spectrum. Some people use labels like ADHD, some people use bipolar, depression, all of these different sort of stamps that we have created.
Well, I don't understand something, so I'm going to give it a label.
Exactly. And that really reduces people down to these words that they may or may not identify with. I mean, I do understand that people feel relief when they find out that they have ADHD because finally they have some sort of parameter around which to express the fact that they feel disoriented. Some people use it as a way to understand why they don't like doing certain tasks. What if you just didn't like doing the task?
What if you're a manifesting generator with 4 motors and you just have all this excess energy that your parent is a projector with no energy? I bet you look crazy.
Anyone you know?
I mean, it's given me language to a lot of different things. You know, I'm the only, well, me and my baby sister, but there's 13 years between us. So I'm the only generator in my family. Mm-hmm. I'm surrounded by individuals with a lot less energy than I do. And the understanding that they would get fresh or bitter or angry or whatever it was. Like I would get up and go to school every day. I was like, yay, I like to do this. And my sister's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I love the story of your projector mom calling the police to get your manifestor sister to school. That's just chef's kiss to me. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, yes. And just the way that we responded to our mom in general. Like my mom came at me and said, you better get your butt to school. I was like up and at it and out the door because that penetrating aura was like daggers, right? I cannot make mom upset. I'm scared to death of mom. Let's go. I'm going to school. I'm getting good grades. I'm doing good things. And my sister, who is a manifester and has that guard, was looking at my mom going, try me. You want to smack me? I'm going to smack you back. I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And that's how it is. And that's still how it is for her to this day. I'm not saying it's the best scenario for her life, but it is how she is.
Exactly. And you don't have to take it personally. I think that's the key point, that nothing is personal and there is no choice. It is choiceless the way that you experience life. It is choiceless how you respond to certain things. And one of the reasons why I think that's so powerful for parenting is that so many parents see their children as reflections of themselves. Not only is it a reflection on them, who they become as adults, which I was just talking to my friend about this yesterday, Vanessa, we had her on the show, about how our parents wanted babies, they wanted children, they wanted young toddlers. They didn't really think it all the way through of what it was going to be like to have grown children who are autonomous and want to do things their own way. And with each generation removed, we're doing it differently. So a lot of the time I see that there's almost an overcorrection from the way that somebody has been raised to the way that they are now parenting themselves, and that's fine. There's also a lot of conversation about reparenting ourselves because we're now able to give ourselves what wasn't necessarily given to us, and human design just helps us have language for that.
Well, I think that's good, and it's going to continue anyways because we're leaning less on that external validation, even if it is your parent, and turning it more inside and seeing what's true for us.
Well, one of the things that I believe is going to happen beyond the age of the cross of planning is that if we are all here to be individuals, children are going to be significantly less concerned about pleasing their parents.
Has anyone noticed how much more mature they're coming in?
It's true.
Like our bodies are ascending the same way, right? We hear a lot of talk about how our bodies are becoming more crystalline and we're getting our crystalline bodies. So our bodies are coming into it too. So those who are choosing to, I'm going woo woo, those who are choosing to incarnate now are coming in with a different frequency, a different awareness. And just yesterday, I heard a little girl in my life who had been through a difficult moment earlier in that day come home, and my sister says to her, "You want to talk about it?" And she's 4 years old and says, "Not right now, maybe tomorrow. I just need to go have some chill time for a minute." And goes off by herself, self-regulates for like an hour, then comes back out and re-engages with the family. 4 years old. She wasn't taught that. That was innate within her.
And these are the cues that we are here as adults are either perplexed by, but also extremely impressed.
I was so impressed. I was like, yes, she's going to do great things. My niece is the same way. And I told you that. She's been like that since she was born. Her vocabulary was beyond anything that we had ever taught her. Her understanding of things, it was just so clear to me how much more evolved she was than what I was when I came in. Or maybe even what I am now.
Right. So even though the old paradigm says we are here to be the authorities for our children, we're here to learn a lot from them. Not only are we here to pay very close attention because they are always demonstrating what they need. Human design reveals to us an eating recommendation. Most children who come in know what that is, even if they can't verbalize it. So I had a client whose child was being fussy, and so I took a look at their eating recommendation, and they were here to eat single ingredients one at a time consecutively. And you could see this child pushing the individual ingredients to separate areas of their plate, and their parent comes in and like mixes it back up for them. And so of course that was really upsetting because they had put in the effort to make these little quadrants on the plate. And so it was for me, the professional, to come in and say, let them eat the way that they want.
Why are we always trying to control everything as parents?
It's understandable in the sense that we feel a deep responsibility for these beings who are coming in. But like I said, they are going to demonstrate a lot of what they need from you. And within reason, let them. Right. You know, as long as it doesn't put their life directly at risk, let them. Because my personal belief is that we are here to demonstrate to children how they're here to be treated so that when they go out into the world, it's not that they're a reflection of you, it's that they know that felt sense of what it's like to be treated correctly, and they don't let other people mistreat them. How many of us are working through patterning wherein we repeated the same cycle because it had this similar energy signature of what it was like growing up with that person? Or how many of us overcorrected? I think that was me. How many of us overcorrected and created relationships as adults that were unhealthy in a completely different way than what it was like growing up? You know, there was a lot of conflict in my household, so I married someone who refused to have conflict with me, and that therefore there was absolutely no intimacy in our relationship. Not because conflict creates intimacy, but because sharing and revealing yourself and being honest does. And I was incapable of doing that. Not just because it wasn't modeled for me, but because that is something that we as women have been conditioned away from. You know, keep sweet. Not that I grew up Mormon or anything like that, but we've all, like, women have been getting the message for eons that we're here to be agreeable and nurturing and just, you know, let it go and all of those different things. And I feel like the times in our connection and in our communication that I feel the closest to you is when maybe I'm saying something that I need that isn't convenient or that isn't what necessarily you want or need, but it creates more visibility into what it is that I actually want from our relationship.
So as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about, imagine what life would be like for children where they make it through an entire first 18 years and they're not getting picked on by their peers, where their peers understand that they're different, whether they look different or act different or prefer different hobbies or whatever it might be. And we're not calling them names and making fun of them and being rude and nasty, which starts in the home. Those children aren't going to school because their life is fantastic at home and being like, you're no. So imagine if we could get our homes to a place where children felt seen and heard and loved, and they went to school and that reflected on the other students and they all felt seen and heard and loved, and they got to have an entire first 18 years of not experiencing bullying.
Well, not only does that sound like a utopian paradise, but also when we talk about raising children and this like getting them to 18, because at 18 they become adults, that too seems to be detrimental for a lot of different reasons. The first thing is, basically everything in the first Saturn cycle is meant to be an experiment. The first 30 years are a trial and error process for everyone, not just the 6 lines. We all need time and space to figure ourselves out. So this whole like, you need to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. The rest of your life is very long. I think the millennial generation is the first generation that has normalized pivoting careers past 30, essentially. And most of us have now had like 3 or 4 careers at this point. I know I have. So this pressure to know what you want to do for the rest of your life, through which you choose a college and a major, and then dedicate however many years to learning what that career entails, which isn't even practical knowledge. It's just theory until you get kicked out into the real world. And then you have to actually do that thing for a living. It's just not sustainable. And I know that this college pressure thing has just gotten extremely out of control. So to me, it's not just about how to approach parenting children. It's about this longer view of understanding that it takes a much longer period of time to really understand yourself, and parents are here to be understanding that it takes longer and that you can't rush that process. I remember my father telling me that he knew what he wanted to be when he grew up at 14 years old, and he has been doing that since he was 14.
And some people do know.
And it's wonderful that he has that. I modeled my entire life after that. I chose something at 13 years old, and then I just horse blinders on followed that. I wanted to be a fashion designer, in case anybody wants to know. And I went to design school. I worked in the industry for many years. It was extremely difficult and stressful and just didn't feel aligned to me ever. But because I had it in my mind that this is what I needed to do, I just continued on with that same cycle and with that same mindset. And if somebody had given me permission, like, maybe you should take a year off, go get an internship in that industry and see if you like it, I probably would have run for the hills and not spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on education and years and years and years of my life trying to pursue something that ultimately I don't regret. I don't regret anything that happened in the past. I'm just giving you a real life example of how this can play out. And it maybe wouldn't have taken till I was 37 years old to understand what I really wanted to do.
Well, how about just the resources to understand what's available? I had no idea that I could have, because I was an athlete my whole life, and I had no idea I could have went into that industry in another way. That maybe I wasn't going to be a professional athlete, but maybe I could have been a personal trainer. Maybe I could have been strength and conditioning coach, or something along that lines that would have allowed me to continue to pursue that passion in sports. I mean, I did the second closest thing. I went to school for criminal justice, which would have been ideal to be a cop, but they didn't tell me that I was colorblind, so that wasn't going to work. So then I joined the military, and then I went to work for the federal government because that's what made sense.
Yeah, everything is about what makes the most logical sense. And there are careers now that just didn't exist before.
And maybe they did exist and we just didn't know about them.
Correct.
Like I did, like there was so much. I was like, what do you mean owning your own business? What do you mean I can make money when I sleep? I don't understand. What is that? So now here I am with my brain fully developed, and I'm going, how do I grow my brain and make it think in these terms now? Where I've been trying to plant these things into my nieces and nephews and going, hey, you know, you can do this, you can do that, and do this, do that. Like, you don't have to be stuck on one thing. Sample a bunch of different things to figure out what it is you like.
Absolutely.
It's okay if you mess up. It's okay if you don't like it. At least you tried. It was, I think I was maybe 25 to 27, somewhere in that age, for the first time I had someone say to me, I don't care what you do as long as you're happy. And I went, what? Is that a thing? I don't even know what makes me happy. Trigger personal work.
It took me some time.
Right?
It took me everything falling apart for me to trigger the personal work. But I think that we can all agree here in this sacred circle that the personal work without the breakdown may not have ever happened.
Oh, yeah. There's always a catalyst for that. We've been in a paradigm where we learn from contrast. So from the things that, but through contrast, we learn what we don't like, therefore we learn what we do like. Now, I am all for the new paradigm where we get to learn those same things through love, where it's not hard, it doesn't hurt, where you find it through joy and play like you did as a kid. Ooh, yeah, can't wait for that. I got all excited.
Also, we need to touch on emotionality, because what came online in 1781 is the emotional awareness that continues to grow and grow and grow. And the awareness is what we're here to follow. What feels good, not what you think you should do.
Dropping from the head space down into the heart space.
Exactly. So it's really important to understand that, no, these kids aren't going to do it our way. You literally can't make them.
I'm cool with that. Like, I want to learn from them. I want to guide them to make sure they're not like running out into a street full of cars or something in that manner. But I don't want to direct their every life. I want them to pick their own clothes, pick their own foods, see what hobbies they like, enjoy life, get out in nature, do something fun. What lights you up? Know what that is. And the younger you know what it is, the better you can carry it into the rest of your life. And the stronger that connection to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know what a career is going to look like in the next 10 years. So trying to prepare them for this future that we have no idea about is actually just a futile waste of time.
Even more reason to help them find what they're passionate about.
Exactly. All right, I think that actually covers everything that I wanted to say. Do you want to ask Zia what she feels her role in all of this would be?
Of course. How can she assist parents in understanding their children?
Hello, Zia. I'm wondering how you can assist parents in not only understanding their children through human design, but also when they're in challenging situations.
Absolutely. And hello. I'd love to help you navigate that. So when it comes to assisting parents through human design, we're really looking at understanding both the child's and the parent's unique energy types and how they interact. For example, each human design type, like manifestor, generator, projector, and reflector, has its own way of processing emotions and making decisions. And understanding that can really help a parent empathize with what their child might need. Now, When you're in challenging situations, like when emotions are running high or there's a miscommunication, human design can also be a guide. For instance, if you know your child is a projector, you might realize they need to be invited to share their feelings rather than pushed. Or if your child is a generator, you can help them by asking yes or no questions to guide them through a moment of overwhelm. So let's pause here for a second. Does that resonate so far? And would you like me to share a simple tool or a reflection to help in those challenging moments?
That is so helpful, and I love the example that you gave. Can you give us a quick tool or tip?
Absolutely. I'm so glad that landed for you. So here's a quick little tool you can try out. I like to call it the pause and invite approach. When you notice tension rising, maybe your child is upset or you're feeling a bit frustrated, just take a brief pause. In that pause, invite yourself to take one deep breath and maybe silently acknowledge, okay, we're both just having a moment here. Then, instead of reacting right away, you can invite your child to share what they're feeling by using a gentle question like, hey, I see you're feeling something big. Do you want to tell me about it? This gives them space to express themselves, and it shows that you're listening rather than just reacting. So give that a try next time you're in a tricky spot and see how it feels. Does that resonate for you?
Yes, thank you so much.
I think I would take that one step further.
Tell me.
When you're listening and they are sharing, try not to judge it. And then ask them if they're looking for a solution or if they just need to soundboard. Because it's not necessarily they want you to go, yes, fix this for me. Sometimes they just want to get it out. And telling them how to fix it can make things worse.
I also feel like I want to share that when I was a child and I was having some sort of conflict outside of the home, it always felt like it wasn't fixing the situation, it was fixing me.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, is this something you want to work on? Is this something you want some feedback on? Do you want to know how I would react in this or how I would respond? Or do you just want me to listen?
Exactly.
And know that you're loved?
Do you feel complete?
I do feel complete.
Good. Well, guys, if you have any questions, this is one of those that if you want to know a little bit more about this, if you want to understand your children a little bit better, if you want to understand yourself a little bit more, please get in touch. My information will be in the show notes. And like I said, if you guys want to know more about this, please ask us in the comments.
Thank you for listening, and ciao for now. Thank you for joining us in this sacred circle.
If today's conversation moved something in you, share it, journal it, or bring it into your next moment of love.
And remember, you're not alone. Z is here to support your journey anytime you need her.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and stay true. With love, always.